Having the right TMS is vital in supporting freight broker growth. Partner with TIE software to optimize your processes and compete with confidence. Get into the automation, data insights, and cash flow optimization game. Request a demo at tiesoftware.com. Welcome back to another edition of Check Call. Today we're covering the importance of wellness and health in the office and why it's a little underrated. Today we are joined by Renjit Varghese, a wellness professional. Welcome to the show, Renjit.
Thank you for having me, Mary. Excited.
I am very excited about today. It's something that it's not like what every, freight broker or, company owner thinks about is, the importance of health and wellness in the office, but it's ultimately something that should be taken seriously and should be a pretty big factor of, that corporate life, that culture that everyone strives so hard to get to. But before we get too far into that, let's get some background on you and kind of how you got started in the health and fitness world.
Yeah. So my family is a very traditional family in the sense of professionals. I have cousins that are, deans at Harvard Medical School and vice chairs of cardiology at Cleveland Clinic. My sister. This is the type of family I come from, but I did not like blood, didn't like arguing. My dad's in mechanical industrial engineering. I grew up with blueprint makers and drafting boards in the house. And I was like, I really felt like I am never going to have a job because none of these things make sense to me. And then I randomly took a strength and conditioning class at the University of Cincinnati community program, and that was it. I was like, and then I moved to New York, and I told my parents that I'd potentially go to grad school. No, I wanted to go into exercise. And long story short, my first business in New York City was a 5-story urban country club in Wall Street with a human performance laboratory. And the type of exercise program started as a osteoporosis research study at the University of Florida Medical School, where moving extremely slow movement with high intensity, high weights, produced excellent results. So it was like, I was in Wall Street. I wore a suit when I worked with people. It was extremely cold, so like 60 degrees, and folks would just take their jacket off. They would do 20 minutes of extremely hard, extremely difficult work, and then they would go back to work. So I was always kind of being surrounded by corporate folks. And then I ended up getting major back surgery. Turned out I had a ruptured disc in my L5-S1. And I tried everything not to get surgery, but they removed it. 60% of my disc was removed, so I only had 40% left, right? And then I almost recovered. I got into a major car accident. An elderly man went into a diabetic episode and crashed into me from behind. And in New York State, that's where I was at that time, there was a thing called no-fault policy, where it wasn't his fault, it wasn't my fault, so his insurance and New York State covered for my therapy, and I was getting up to, not every week, up to 18 sessions of physical therapy a week. So I would go to different places all across the city. It wasn't like always in Manhattan. Sometimes they'd send me to, Queens or Staten Island, and you would start finding out what is good care. Like, just because I was already in the field, but I had never gone through kind of this experience of, lower back pain and not being able to do what it is that I love the way I was able to do it, and trying to figure out how to recover from that. And so as I went through that process, I ended up actually creating the art form that I've been practicing, trademarked and copyrighted, formalized from 2007, called Arogium, Arogium. And what that is just I use my hands to strengthen and relieve pain using manual resistance. But then after that, another thing happened. I got alopecia areata. I lost all my hair and my beard. So I was pretty clean shaven most of my life in corporate climate. And then all of a sudden and with alopecia areata, it's like an autoimmune disorder. So you sometimes joint pain. And what happened is my best friend, who passed away last year, was a world famous retinal surgeon. He injected my head with corticosteroids. on New Year's Day in his brother-in-law's bathroom, and all my hair and my beard came back. So in honor of him, this is the reason why the hair and the beard. But you definitely learn to not care about, because wellness, especially in New York, can be a very kind of vain field. And then when you go through this process, you become even more immersed in about how your body is feeling. And obviously looking good is great, right? But I became less concerned about that and more about how do my joints feel? How am I feeling overall? As opposed to just, this is the way I look, but weirdly, doing the things that make you feel good also make you look good.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's something that everyone kind of forgets that, maybe I'll just go to the gym just to, stay healthy and other things like that. But, if you work out and you hit a new PR, suddenly that your day just turned around in a big way. So something that I think a lot of people forget about is that health and wellness aspect, like, especially in the free or the corporate world is, you're doing a lot of sitting, you're not doing a lot of movement. So kind of if I'm someone who's wanting to help the people in my office, reduce injury, reduce health risks, like what are some of those things that I can, take and then, implement into my office to, make everyone a little bit happier, a little bit healthier and, generally all around better.
Yeah. So when I had my practice with the Rogium in New York, I was actually within a company. So I had my own space within their company's structure. So I was already used to kind of understanding how an office situation works. But then now I'm in Cincinnati and I work for Lifetime Fitness, which is a national luxury exercise facility. And you would think that, oh, okay, you work in an exercise center. Everybody's, the equipment is right there. But we've done a pilot project here at Lifetime in Cincinnati is because we have a lot of folks that are the general manager or the operations manager, and they're in front of a computer like anyone else, right? And here they have all access right there, right? And it's still difficult for them. So what I decided to do was I used my experience that I had working within companies to go through and go into their office, teach them strategies of, and I'm going to go over that, engaging their abs, right? While sitting, teaching them, because I have a client, he says, I'm not sure if I'm working or working out. Because it's like when you come and you sit at your station, I believe in personal responsibility. And it starts with leadership, right? So if a head of a company has to feel like they want this for themselves, and that's how it trickles down to the folks that work for them. And so the folks that I work with, I say, hey, listen, and you're doing it, Mary, you have your water, right? And for me, some of my clients, they type a lot. So I have these finger separators that I make my clients wear, and I use them sometimes. I use them as well because I use my hands, right? Sometimes you might have a ball or a band, and what you do is either you can you take the band, you put it around your ankles or your feet, and you have the ball between the knees, and you do the same amount of work that you normally do, but at the same time, you're going to be working your abs. And the reason why you're going to be working your abs is very important. So you have within the body of what's known as agonist and antagonist muscles. Okay. So for example, you have, I'm not flexing my bicep on. You have your bicep contracted, right? So this is the agonist muscle. It's contracting. So your tricep is your antagonist, which lengthens or relaxes. And so usually when we're sitting or doing movement in general, your abs, because Mary, what sports did you play? You said you played...
I played volleyball and soccer and I ran track.
Okay. Volleyball, soccer, and you ran track. After any of those games or running, did you ever say, man, my abs are sore from running?
No.
No, right?
Usually after the high jump, they would be, but you use a lot of abs core strength doing jumps.
But typically when you're doing soccer or running, you don't feel your abs, right?
No, it's always going to be your thighs and your calves.
So the goal here is, right, and this is why I see sitting down as an opportunity to work on this, because if you're at the office 8 to 12 hours a day, if you can work on something that actually is going to have a benefit for you outside, if you could stand up and you feel better after sitting down because you were able to do this, you're going to feel better, right? So just like your bicep is your agonist muscle, and your tricep lengthens, if you are able to contract your abs while sitting. So think of your end day being this way. So at the end of the day, if you felt your abs while sitting and you got them slightly worked out just from sitting, you've had an awesome day, because then your lower back is going to relax. And so what you can do is that I'm going to scoot back here. You literally are going to squeeze your inner thighs together, right? And you're going to push your feet. So the heaviest weight is one that doesn't move, right? Are you going to be able to push your feet through the floor? No, right? So if I'm able to engage my abs by imagining that I'm driving my body through the floor, okay, then you're going to make this sound. As you exhale, you go, make that sound. Do you feel your abs engage when you do that?
Yeah.
Right? So what you're doing is you have your rib cage here, and you're going to try to blend that rib cage in to your abs, and making that sound helps you do that. So you're going to visualize that your legs begin underneath the rib cage, so that this is now your inner thighs. You're going to squeeze your legs together using your inner thighs. You're going to drive your body through the floor. And as you're typing, if you just make this movement,
Oh,
do you feel your abs?
yeah.
Right?
This is kind of cool.
Right. So that's just a start. You're just like, because if you can feel your abs as you're doing that, and the key is makes the smaller the movement, the more you feel it, because we want to make sure that I'm not asking you to, stand on a ball or any of it. Not, that it said we want, for most folks, that are sitting, they're going to be sitting. Right? So embrace the sit and just your number one goal is just try to be able to engage those abs. Right? And I'm gonna stand up to show you, like, if you're standing, right? And I'm really not that flexible right now because I was sitting, because I wasn't engaged my abs. But if I take my hands and I just use my abs to crush my hands, then you can't see it, but I'm able to easily touch the floor.
Oh, okay.
Because it's sometimes, people are like, oh, my hamstrings are tight. It might be tight. But if you can really engage, and the other thing is that as let's say you're moving back or forth, your goal is, am I feeling my abs?
Okay. Am I feeling my abs? Right now, I am feeling my abs.
Yeah. And you might, a lot of, especially because the number one reason you get results, you can't beat it, is genetics, right? So if you played athletics or music or performance, right? Or some people are actually physically gifted, but they didn't do any of those things. That's where you start, right? So because you were athletic, you have an awareness of being able to control your body, but because you're not doing that anymore, doesn't mean you still don't have those skills. Or it's a matter of, and you've not done that. You haven't sat there and said, I'm really going to just try to engage my abs the majority of the time that I'm working. But I would say, that coming to work, thinking every day, I got my water, I have whatever tools or whatever workout that I have for my day while I do my work. And the other thing and this is the biggest thing for me that I don't understand why we can't do it, is it when you work on breath or breathing, does it get in the way of anything that we do?
Not really. It might get in the way of a middle of a conversation, but I'm not talking every second of every day.
Right. You could work on it and you can go without food for 2 to 3 weeks, water 3 to 4 days, oxygen 2 to 3 minutes. Right. And all of our activities, in the sense of movement, if we improve our cardio pulmonary system or respiratory system, especially during all these, whether it be allergies or, so one of the things that, and it's difficult for me, I would, I say this, if we can't solve the things that we agree upon, how do we solve the things we disagree upon, right? We agree that breathing is not going to get in the way of any activity that we do, but it's a very difficult thing to do because I work on it all the time. So that is the other. So whether you say to yourself, every hour, I'm just going to take the deepest breath through my nose I possibly can, hold it for a second, and exhale the deepest exhale I possibly can, and just do that 5 times in an hour, just in a row, right? These are just resets for you during the day.
So is that something that then, because, freight offices, brokerages, it can be a very high stress and, your mental health generally tends to decline a little bit when you're working and just 'cause sometimes you have a bad day where you get yelled at all the time. So is incorporating, those 5 quick breaths like a good thing to also help with your mental health? Is there another tip that you have that would just be super easy to implement that, maybe might help a broker, stay on the top of their mental game?
I would say, again, being a person for personal responsibility, I would say the things that you could work on for yourself, because, we want to live in a world where we want the companies to help us, but we're going to do it for ourselves first. So that it shows them that it's important. The things you got to work on are sleep, your general fitness, your nutrition, hydration, and breathing, right? For your mental well-being, right? So in the sense of nutrition, the brain is our organ that uses the most amount of energy typically. And it takes up to half of the sugar within the body for the brain. So especially folks that are thinking all day, people are going to have cravings, right? So knowing that you're going to have cravings, instead you have to, again, you got your water, you got you have your food that's going to satisfy that craving, but at the same time, if you go too much, then you get into a fog, right? So it's a matter of preparing your workstation for your day to maximize your body for your work.
I kind of like it. It's that min-max thing of like, if I know I'm going to be there all day, I might as well set myself up for success.
8 to 12 hours of awesome work is the way you see it, right? You're going to get more fit at work, because that was the thing that people that I would say employees and staff really liked, is that they came to work and they got more than a paycheck. They got something that they were able to take home that benefited them at home that had nothing to do with money.
Oh, absolutely. Because you can also carry over, some breath work and that nutrition aspect and, engaging your core and trying to take some of that strain off your back. You can do that at home too. You can do that. Shoot, you can do that at dinner.
And the other, within workspaces, you have friends, right? And you want, usually, even, within exercise centers, it's when you come with a friend or someone that you are doing this with. It might not be the entire office, but someone that is also on your vibe that's going to help you keep accountable. That is all in the sense of mental health. To have someone else to help you or count on within the office, I think is very beneficial.
I feel like that's kind of almost that I don't like that thing that is absolutely required, because if you're doing it alone, the same way where like if you report to work for the day and you don't know what you're doing for your professional job, if you don't have someone that you can turn to, that you can ask like, hey, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? Like, how do I do this thing? I have this problem. The same way you rely on people for work problems, you can rely on them for, mental health. Like if, there's one person that you talk to that just really gets your blood boiling, raises your blood pressure, you don't get along, but you absolutely have to talk to them, then, you can say, okay, well, we just had a conversation with that person. Let's take a lap in the parking lot. Let's go get a drink. Let's kind of go outside and kind of reshift our focus. So that way we're not sitting in that anger, in that negative headspace where it's just going to ruin our day and we're going to have a bad day for the rest of the day.
Yeah. I mean, mental health usually a lot of times about loneliness, not being able to share something that you're going through with someone else that you think might be able to relate with you. And so I think, that is a way to, reduce your loneliness and have someone else, be supportive of you. And that goes, not only in mental health in the sense of office work, but wellness as well, exercise, nutrition. If you have someone that is, bring whether, they bring you a nice snack, because we have, even at the exercise, even at Lifetime, we have birthdays, right? And sometimes people want to bring donuts, and it's like, no, this is, we're going to have a standard that, because this is what we need to do for our well-being, for those people, for those, especially, I get, if you're a person that's eat clean every single day, and then you get for me, maybe an organic donut, that's not, I have a client that makes me non-dairy, non-gluten baked donuts that are unbelievable, right? So I try to make, I'm a human, like, I love food like anyone else, but I try to, knowing the issues that I have with my joints, or, with my autoimmune disorders, I want to make, I have on my sign, it says, feeling good is underrated. Right. So if my hands feel good and my joints feel good, that's my number one priority. But a lot of times, I don't think I noticed that until I started paying attention to the food that I was eating.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of goes hand in hand, where if you eat something that that your body doesn't tolerate well, you're not going to feel good. You're going to feel like crap. You're going to want to go home. Everything's going to hurt, and it's just going to be a bad time.
But at the same time, we want to find those foods that are comfort foods still, that's still going to make us feel good within our body.
Exactly, because you don't want to deprive yourself of things that you enjoy. You just want to find a good way to enjoy them where you're not going to feel like crap later. So that being said, one of my summer comfort foods are hot dogs. And Renjit, we are running out of time, but everyone that comes on the show does have to answer this question. It might be the hardest question you get all day. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I think it is a type of sandwich, only because I've had a Reuben hot dog before.
Oh, what's a Reuben hot dog?
So it would be a corned beef hot dog with sauerkraut and that Thousand Island type dressing that you would have. Have you ever had a Reuben sandwich?
Yeah.
So it would be essentially that, because that's what makes, to me, that's why it's a sandwich, because you have all of these, because hot dogs can come in many splendors, right? These days, right? Because you can define, you can say only this one hot dog. Hot dogs come, it's, I guess we could ask, is a brat, or a brat or a met a hot dog, right? It's a type of hot dog.
Back to the corned beef part. Was it like the corned beef in a sausage casing?
Yes. Corned beef like in a sausage, yeah.
That sounds absolutely delicious. I'm not going to lie.
Yes, with rye bread.
Buns.
Yeah. Sauerkraut. Whatever, I think it's Thousand Island dressing type thing on a Reuben. Whatever that, it's delicious.
That sounds absolutely amazing, and I'm very sad that I've never had one. So I think I will need to find a way to change that.
Let us find one for you.
Okay. So if anyone wants to, find out where the best Reuben hot dogs are, hit you up with any questions that they have about, working at work, or anything else they have, health and fitness related, where can they find you outside the show?
You can reach me at Renjit, RENJIT, at Arogium, AROGIUM.com.
You guys heard it here first. Renjit's DMs are open. So that being said, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
You can find Check Call the Podcast anywhere else you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe to all the other FreightWaves podcasts, such as Rethinking, Reshoring, and Great Quarter Gals. You can subscribe to the newsletter on freightwaves.com/checkcall. See you on the internet.